Welcome back. All right, so the Jets and the Oilers, the game that I watched tonight. I also did catch the overtime of Boston and the Rangers, because sure. But yeah, so just the one game tonight, and it wasn't too bad. This was a nice back and forth game, and I thought I might need the number 4 here. That's, of course, your overtime period. I didn't need that tonight. Thought I might. So it was Koskinen versus Comrie. Both goaltenders played the entire game. So this was a good chance for Comrie to try to prove he should be the backup ahead of Burden, and for Koskinen to show Oiler fans, hey, so I can play pretty well. I'll say this. I thought both goalies played relatively well. There was only one goal I saw tonight that I said, oh, you want to save that one? Probably. So early chance was an Oilers power play. So the Oilers get that early power play. It was Dylan that went to the box for cross-checking. And, watching this, and I'm probably going to say this in future videos as well, if they continue to call cross-checking like this, if defensemen can't throw 5 or 6 cross-checks against the guy who's in front of the net, they can't knock down the guy in front of the net, we could see a lot of deflected goals this year. We could see a lot of offense, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the idea that the guy in front of the net isn't going to get cross-checked in the small of the back 15, 16 times. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how strictly they call it. It feels like the cross-checking penalties are picking up as the preseason rolls along towards the regular season, but we'll see. Maurice definitely disagreed with both calls in the first period against Brendan Dillon. The Jets would kill it off, and then Connor scores from Vesalainen and Tony Nato at 3:40. I've been a vocal supporter of Tony Nato for years, so nice to see him having a good preseason for the Jets. And it was pressure and poor defense that created that goal. So while the Oilers get a good result, there's definitely some work for Dave Tippett coming out of this game. Dylan then had a point shot that was saved, and the Jets had that early edge. There was a net drive at 6 minutes by the Jets, a near miss. The shots were 4-1 for the Jets at this stage of the game. Lowry then had a chance that was broken up. The Morrissey-Schmidt pairing was gelling pretty well. They ended up having to switch defensemen around because Noje ends up getting hurt. But yeah, Morrissey and Schmidt going pretty well. They talked about how Schmidt likes to chat a lot on the ice, and Morrissey's fine with that. Chisholm then had a point shot that was saved and held. Mallet couldn't bury one in close. I think Chisholm's done a good job of showing that he should be a call-up at some point this year. I don't think he's going to make the team. But that's the thing. You're trying to impress the team so that when there are injuries early in the season, they go, hey, so that guy who had a really good camp and good preseason games, bring him in here. Jets were winning the puck battles to that point in the game. Perlini was doing his best and has done his best for the Oilers to earn a job. And he's going to be one of those ones that we'll see whether or not the Oilers keep him around for that bottom 6. There were definitely players playing for jobs in the Jets lineup as well. Lowry had a fast break, fires one wide. McDavid, I felt, was due for points in the game at this stage. McDavid had a quiet night, and yet you look at the scoring and you're going to go, he didn't have a quiet night. He did. By his standard, it was a pretty quiet night. And yet, here we are. The Jets were defending well to this point. 3-on-2. Asamont couldn't bury it. Things get kind of scrummy after a whistle at the Oilers' net. Cassian was throwing the body and drew a crowd with the way that he was playing. He took one penalty tonight, but I thought Cassian did pretty well. Broberg then had a shot, easy glove save, and I thought to that point, Comrie hadn't been tested a lot, and so I know Comrie being the backup, it's going to be interesting to see if he does win out and keep that job and how far into the season he ends up going. I do wish him the best, though. McDavid nearly buries one. Dylan takes the second penalty of the game, and the Oilers make him pay for it. They score the power play marker. It's Puljujarvi, who's also had a very good preseason, from Draisaitl and McDavid at 17:40. So there it is. Puljujarvi was screening on that play, and with the tip as well. Yeah, there was no chance for Comrie. Quiet period, but an assist for McDavid, and that's how that works. I haven't noticed McDavid tonight. What do you mean he's got multiple points? This is the life of Connor McDavid and watching his games. Last minute chances then for the Jets, but we go to the second with the game tied at 1. Draisaitl was back checking. I noticed that in the first, and I noticed it in the second. I wanted to put it on the board. People complain a lot about Draisaitl's defensive game, And I have to say that while he's not going to make you forget about Patrice Bergeron, I do think he comes back. He makes poke checks. He does get his stick in the lane. He does cause turnovers. And that kind of play actually leads to the game winner tonight. Spoiler alert and all that. The Oilers, better at the puck battles early. Clearly between the first and second, either the players said something or the coach said something, because they came out in that second period looking a lot different. The Jets press at 2.5 minutes. Morrissey couldn't bury one. Bouchard had a point shot then that was blocked the other way. And then Cassian had a chance that was saved and held. The Oilers' top six, the speed and skill of that top six starts to wear down the Jets' defense at this point. Nogier had a point shot that was blocked. Good back and forth play at this stage. The Jets had a 3-on-2. Scheifele with a shot that's saved. The Jets press at 7.5 minutes. Harkins somehow couldn't bury one, and I'm not sure if that was a deflection or what happened there, but Harkins, yawning cage, just couldn't put that in there. The Jets do end up getting a power play out of it. The penalty kill for the Oilers is on point in this game, and there was a shorthanded chance for Warren Foegele, who I think is going to be a fan favorite in Edmonton this year too. Nurse then gets a shot on a 4-on-3. Comrie makes the save, and a shoulder save on Turris as well. But the Oilers would press, and then Shore would score from Perlini and Nurse at 12:46. That goal may change, because there were two players in front of the net, including Perlini. It may end up being his goal. Again, it's preseason, so I'm not really all that worried about making sure everything's all, this isn't 100%. Because the point is, the Oilers went up 2-1, and it was a nice screen on the goal. The Jets would try to answer. Koskinen makes saves there, and then it's Puljujarvi from McDavid and Foegele at 14:26. And that's one that I thought Comrie, he could see it. It was from beyond the circles. Probably should save that one. He definitely, I would think, would want that one back. But, it was a good shot by Puljujarvi. But, again, a big game here for Comrie, and they're trying to decide on their backup position. And they really needed the save there. And keep in mind, that's now 2 assists for McDavid. And I haven't really talked about how dynamic he is yet, because he just gets points. And it's not like it was a highlight reel pass, but it was a good pass. It was that he saw Puljujarvi across the ice and just throws it over to him, and Puljujarvi gets it in the back of the net. Bouchard then had a point shot that was kicked out. Evan Bouchard had a good game as well. Less room for the Jets in the second period. Ehlers ends up hitting the post. Ceci had a point shot that was blocked. The Oilers press. They get a late power play out of that. Comrie stops a Draisaitl chance. Very dangerous power play that carries over into the third period. So we're going into the third. It's 3-1 in favor of the Oilers. And the Jets finish off the kill. Harkins forces a turnover. Cassian, though, would recover that. Bouchard to McDavid is broken up. The Oilers swarming the Jets every time that they got a zone entry. So every time they were coming into the zone, you see 5 orange sweaters, which eventually it cost them on one of the goals that would happen in that third period. Dillon had a point shot that was deflected. Koskinen saves. Tony Nato, I thought, was very impressive to this point in the game, even though they're down 3-1. His line was up against the Draisaitl line tonight. I thought they did okay. You're not going to keep them completely off the board, but if you can control them, kudos. Perfetti to Vesalainen misfired, and I didn't think Vesalainen had a really, really strong game. He does get the assist in the first period, but Perfetti wasn't all that noticeable, and Vesalainen, there were a couple of times there where I thought the play that was made there, we'll see if he makes the team out of camp or not. Tony Nato then with a shot block. That looked as painful as things tend to get. And Tony Nato is like that. He stayed in the game, of course. Scrummy after the whistle in that zone. The Oilers, in the Jet zone, actually. Oilers had all 5 back as the game entered the second half. So this is where your trap takes place. But you have to play it well. And you have to stay in that structure. And this is where the Jets start to kind of see some holes there, and they start to take advantage. Nurse defends on Ehlers and clears it, but then, on what was a great pass by Chisholm, Scheifele scores, Chisholm with the assist, Ehlers at 11:36. And Chisholm was getting more ice time with Nogier hurt, so here you go, right? The Jets then started pressing for the tie. There was a press by them after that where Ehlers ends up losing the handle. The Oilers would clear, but Morrissey gets a goal that shouldn't have happened from Svechnikov and Lowry at 13:28, and here's why. So you've got Morrissey on one side of the ice here. All 5 Oilers go over to that side of the ice. So this side of the ice is wide open. You just throw it to Morrissey, and Morrissey has all the time in the world and all the space in the world to make that play. And that's where having all 5 guys back can be tough, right? And that's the kind of thing that for Dave Tippett tomorrow he's gonna be like, hey guys, on that tying goal, you've got to have somebody who's maintaining, pressure on other players. That puck carrier, you can send one guy over, maybe 2. If you have all 5 guys on that side of the ice, it's definitely dangerous. Lowry then had a near miss as the Jets decided to go for the lead, but there was some sloppy play by both teams in the final 5 minutes. This is where you might be getting into conditioning. You might be getting into some stress for some of the young players that are trying to make the lineup, but it was a little stressful and a little sloppy. Asamont and Bouchard then had a tangle, which led to 4-on-4 for 2 minutes. And then at 18:04, Nugent Hopkins from Draisaitl is your 4-3 goal. Draisaitl forced a turnover. I believe it was Morrissey that was skating up the ice, and Draisaitl forced that turnover. Again, considering that Draisaitl's seen as this dynamo offensively, he's not bad defensively either, and I thought he was quite good in this game defensively. And then so the Jets pull the goalie with 1 minute and 10 seconds left to no avail, and so the Oilers hold on and win this one 4-3. And by hold on, I mean they scored with less than 2 minutes left, and then they maintained that lead the rest of the way. So coming out of this game, again, what do you take from it? Well, the score doesn't really matter. They still had the shootout after the game was over because it's just preseason. But I think that this is a game where we may see some guys get sent down. So tomorrow the Jets play in Vancouver. They may wait until Monday to make their cuts because of the fact that they're playing on back-to-back nights, right? And you don't want to, stress out and overplay some of your star players. So it may be a B-level team that ends up playing in Vancouver tomorrow. But for guys who are trying to win jobs, this game was key. We'll see which ones, like Tony Nato, force their way into the conversation. And whether or not any of the other lesser knowns end up getting in there. A good example out of Boston, of course, is Froden, who seems like he's potentially going to end up with a job in Boston. But we'll see with Edmonton and Winnipeg which of the bottom 6 players get in there. Does Perlini end up getting himself into a regular role with them this year? It's been very impressive in the preseason. And so while these games may not matter in the standings, they may not matter that much to fans and all of that, they matter to the players. So I enjoy covering it, and hopefully the injury to Nogier is not bad. Very often in the preseason, of course, it's just a lot of the time it'll be precautionary where they're keeping guys out, but we'll see. So, all right, there you go. The Oilers win the game, and I've got the Draisaitl jersey on here and everything because I thought he had a really good game. And that's the problem. You shut down McDavid pretty well. He gets 2 assists. And then you got to worry about Draisaitl, who was a beast. Draisaitl had the 1 assist here, 2 assists here. Yeah, 2-point nights for both. And also impressive, I have to say, for Winnipeg here. While that 4th line was good, I thought Svechnikov had a decent game as well. We'll see whether or not he ends up earning himself a contract and a spot, maybe with Manitoba, and then maybe he's a call-up, or maybe they see him as a Jet. But we'll see. Those tryouts, we're going to start seeing guys get released. I mean, we saw a couple released today, but there's going to be more. So over the next week, these lineups will get all straightened out, and then we'll get into the regular season games. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing right through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.